B'Shem Hashem Na'aseh v'Natzliach, Shiur Torah, Bruchim Habayim. We're back, continuing our series of the Iggeret Hagra, the letter from the Gaon of Vilna to his family, and needless to say, to us. Tonight's shiur will be for a refuah shlema for Talia bat Sarah, Rabbanit Sarah bat Anat, Rav Ephraim ben Shulamit, Rabbanit Levana bat Sarah, Rivka bat Sarah, Tinok ben Rivka, and also for a Pnina bat Shulamit, Ilani bat Pnina, David ben Esriya, Doris bat Jora, Yitro ben Avraham, Talia bat Sarah, Orit bat Ilana, and also for a Atzlacha Rabba for Shaul ben Farzaneh, Oshri ben Doris, Gabi ben Doris, Elad ben Doris, David ben Nesriya, Yitro ben Avraham, Marsha bat Julie, Ayla bat Marsha, Samuel ben Marsha, Cephas ben Marsha, Alexander ben Marsha, Louis ben Marsha, Reuven Chaim ben Palaparel, Joshua ben Noach, Alex ben Noach, and Netanel Yosef ben Avraham, and also for Zivug Agun. And for all of Am Yisrael and all of the righteous Noahides that continue to do all the good things that they do, Baruch Hashem, to help us, help Am Yisrael, help the people around the world. First and foremost, with their spirituality, to discover the truth and see the truth for what it is. And of course, also all the wonderful people that help us, help people physically with the materialism and help people eat and so on. B'ezrat Hashem, I just got from my team another video that B'ezrat Hashem will publicize soon of one of the recent campaigns that we did, the food distributions we did in Eretz Yisrael. Some of the people talking about, receiving food, and the stories are always, on one end heartbreaking, on another end heartwarming. It's heartwarming that you're able to help, but at the same token, it's heartbreaking that people are suffering so much. Where one of the people was talking about how literally the wife had to go to sleep, hungry because there was simply no food. And the husband, who is a diabetic and can't eat a lot of different types of food, was forced to eat spaghetti for breakfast because that was simply all they had. Some noodles and water. That's it. So of course, when they got a huge amount of boxes full of food and so on, this was like from Shemaim for them, Baruch Hashem. And Baruch Hashem, we try to do it as much as possible, as often as possible. And this last week was a big, pretty decent sized food distribution, and B'ezrat Hashem will continue. For all of those that want to help us, can go on our website, Be'ezratHashem.org, and donate over there, or you can go to bhdonate.org. B as in Be'ezrat, H as in Hashem, and the word donate.org. That's another website of ours. We could donate over there, perhaps even commit to a monthly contribution that we can use on a regular basis, and know how much budget we have, and commitment from people that we can, already buy the food ahead of time, rather than do a lot of things last minute. But again, for every person has to know their own limitations and what they can and can't do. And of course, the Tikkun Brit movie continues to hit new milestones. We, Baruch Hashem, have a few major developments on it. Baruch Hashem, the movie is in 9 languages. We're almost completing the 10th language, which is Korean. We've surpassed 5 million views of the movie, and it's only a few months old. 5 million views and approximately 100,000 new views every day. 100,000 new views every day. So you're talking about an enormous amount of people are watching this movie, and you could see the comments in all of our channels in Spanish and Portuguese and English and Hebrew of people, literally, just saying that it's changing their life, it's changing their perspective. There are endless amount of emails and messages from people thanking us for waking them up and making them realize that what really everybody understood, but perhaps never learned it in such a way, is that they need to protect their eyes, protect their brit, and most importantly, they have to protect their neshama. And those two items are critical windows to the neshama itself. So when you're publicizing this type of stuff to people, it helps. The campaign that we have of giving out the CDs for free, Baruch Hashem, has been a very big success. Over 100 of you have signed up, to get a free box of these CDs. So that means that it's 5,000 CDs, or over 5,000 CDs have been distributed. The campaign is still open, even though I can't promise that you're going to get it before Tisha B'Av, because that was really the whole goal of the campaign, to give these CDs out for free. We're going to continue the campaign for now. For anyone who has not signed up to get it, that's located in the United States, that has not gotten himself a free box of CDs to give out to themselves and obviously their family, friends, strangers, whoever you can give it to that's going to listen and watch, sign up for this campaign. It's free. You just simply get yourself, $170 worth of material that you could help get yourself a much better olam haba. In fact, even if you're an extremely righteous person and you learn Torah and you do mitzvot and you do a lot of great things, the best you can get is one olam haba. But if you help one Jew do tshuva, you got yourself another 310 worlds. And this we learned from Shlomo HaMelech based on the commentary on the word yesh. Yesh is a gematria value of 310. That Hashem says, I have a treasure for those that do that help people do tshuva. So the word yesh has a numerical value of 310, and on that the sages teach us each person that helps another person do tshuva gets another 310 worlds, meaning that with all of the mitzvot and the good things that each one of us does, the best we can get is one world. But if we help one Jew do tshuva, that's another 310. And that's very much possible to do with a single CD. Of course, anyone that can should order themselves a bunch of CDs and give out even more. But even so, put that aside, get yourself a free box of CDs to at least get started. But Baruch Hashem, based on how I see how successful it's been, how so many people have signed up, and Baruch Hashem, many of them have already received the boxes and already giving them out, we're B'ezrat Hashem going to try to do this type of campaign in the future, and Kadosh Baruch Hu will send the money. Kadosh Baruch Hu will send the money. Some people donated some money, most people took the free product, but we're happy with both of them. Of course, each person has their own reward. The one that's paying for it is a much greater reward than everybody, because he's in essence enabling everybody else to do the mitzvah. But nonetheless, everybody in this particular campaign is a big winner, is a very big winner. And these CDs, Baruch Hashem, have been a great tool to help people do tshuva. We have, Baruch Hashem, a shipment now coming from China with our new posters, and also they're going to be in a special display. B'ezrat Hashem, they'll arrive, I would say, probably within the next month and a half. Takes a while for the shipments from China to come, but the order was already placed. Design is finished, printing is done, manufacturing is done, and it was Baruch Hashem. It's being put on the ship today or tomorrow, and this will arrive over the next month and a half. So the posters that we've been selling on the website will change format. We're going to start selling them in these little displays, which will actually help you, distribute them much easily. If you want to give them out individually, you continue doing that. You'll be able to buy the individual posters. But these little displays, you have 38 in each little plastic display. You put it on a counter and you leave. And each one of the cards is actually made out of plastic rather than made out of paper. So it has a much more, better look, more appealing to the eye and more significant as far as value. Of course, more expensive, but B'ezrat Hashem, This too is something that we're going to be doing a campaign for anyone that wants to be involved in paying for it, or anyone that wants to be involved in distributing it. B'ezrat Hashem, that will come soon. Perhaps in the video we'll include a little bit of a short video of what they are going to look like, B'ezrat Hashem. So that's being made too. Last but not least, on the updates, we have completed the live feature on the app. This has been a big work in the process. For any of you that have also used our app to watch Rabbi Yosef Mizrahi, Shichyeh, you noticed that he started doing his live on the app that our organization built. And Baruch Hashem, it's working great. We obviously also have the same thing, and we just simply haven't launched it. Perhaps maybe tomorrow or next week we'll launch it, where you'll be able to watch our lectures live on the app. So you could eliminate any use for Facebook or for anything else. We're going to continue doing the Facebook Live for the time being, and probably for the foreseeable future, just simply because it's a good place to get new audience. Whereas the app is for existing audience. But nonetheless, for all of you that are already on the bandwagon, you're already understanding what's necessary and want to eliminate all of these foreign sites everywhere, the immodesty and immorality, this is another good way that we'll be able to do that together. B'ezrat Hashem, you'll be able to start watching the lectures from the app on live. Which I know a lot of people have asked us about for a long time. This is definitely, it's a free feature on our app, but it's definitely not free. It's a lot of money. So for anybody that wants to invest in it, that wants to be a partner in it, please do contribute. We don't obligate contribution, but we constantly remind people, because sometimes people simply need to know that there is a lot of investments that goes into everything that we do, and a lot of money goes into it. And Baruch Hashem, we're trying to do everything we possibly can to help people help themselves. And this is part of the conversation of today, where the one of the things that I always tell you guys is that from experience with people, for many, many years, well before starting to do Kiyuv in the Torah world, I've always guided people. I've always been a leader of sorts, whether it was when I was younger, as a young kid, on football teams, and student, and working, and so on, but also when I was in the business world. I trained over 130 people that worked for me over the years to become salesmen. I, Baruch Hashem, led a relatively decent-sized company, did over $1 billion in transactions. Didn't make $1 billion, but in business, over $1 billion in transactions throughout my career. Dealt with literally thousands and thousands of people over the years. And so Baruch Hashem, as Rav Spivak, Alav Shalom, my dear Rav that gave us the smicha, the Oreh, he said during the ceremony that one of the things that Baruch Hashem has helped me in the Torah world, as far as to help people, is that there's a lot of experience. I'm not a new kid on the block. I wasn't born yesterday. And so when I tell you things that are from the Torah, obviously the Torah doesn't need any validation. The Torah is the Torah. The Torah means the written Torah and the oral Torah from the sages, the wisdom of the sages, the halacha from the sages, and so on. but also when it comes from experience for me personally, which I'll mention from time to time. These are things that I learned over a vast experience. I learned on my own skin, on my own blood, and I know that them to be true. And again, it's not necessarily even a perspective. It's just you fail enough times to see what succeeds, and you succeed enough times to see that it's not a fluke. And one of the things that I know that is going to help each and every single one of you that cares enough about people, that cares enough about your relationship with Hashem, and cares enough about Hashem's children. If you want to do kiruv, if you want to help people, you have to always understand, if you are doing indirect kiruv, meaning you're either sending them a lecture, or you're giving them a flyer or a CD, or you're sponsoring something, you're donating money, don't overthink it. Just be like a soldier, be like a sniper, shoot, move on. Shoot, move on, just give the flyer, give the CD, move on. Don't overthink it. What should I send? What should I this? What should I that? Just move on. Just get stuff done, and just the more the better. But when it comes to direct kiruv, when it comes to interacting with people, which I know that a lot of my friends are similar to me, you like to talk, you want to influence people and so on. From being a speaker for over 2 decades, I've spoken to a lot of people in a lot of different events well before I got into the Torah world. And, and of course in the Torah world, it's been an extraordinary experience of itself. But there's one major thing that people don't understand, is that if you're going to speak to people, first and foremost, you have to come from the perspective that you are there to help them. They're not there to help you. Meaning, if you're coming there to get something from people, then you're not coming to help. You're coming to sell. You're coming to sell. So that's a completely different agenda. That's not what we're looking to do. That's not what we're looking to get you to do. There's no reason to sell the Torah. Don't try to sell the Torah that if you do this, you'll get rewarded, you'll get heaven, and so on and so forth. That type of stuff generally doesn't work, for an extended period of time, because you can make a lot of promises, and if they don't work in the timing that you said, generally what ends up happening is the people become much worse than they were before you started talking to them. So there's no reason to sell the Torah. There's no reason. But if you're coming to help them, if you're coming to help your audience, then that first and foremost means that you understand the problem. You understand that they have a problem. They are in a very, very dire situation. They're in in the middle of a train tracks, and they simply don't know it, that the train is coming. They're in a building that's on fire, and they're sleeping. And that's just the reality. You have to understand first and foremost the problem, and you have to, go into it with that type of mentality, that you have to help these people. But at the same token, you also have to have a very critical part of an understanding, is that you cannot help somebody if they're not willing to help themselves. Now, if you want to do indirect kiruv, which is to give them a CD, send them a lecture, drop off a flyer, that you can do with everybody without much thinking. But if you're going to speak to somebody, then you have to already know that this person is open to new ideas, open to the fact that he or she may be living life in a wrong fashion. They're open to learn new things. If they're one of these people that's a know-it-all, doesn't let you speak, doesn't want you to speak, simply doesn't want to give you the time of day, don't even bother. Move on to the next customer. Having debates with people and fighting with them and showing them proofs back and forth over and over again when they're closed-minded is never going to help you. It's like feeding the monster. It's never going to be satiated. If there are certain people that, doesn't matter what you tell them. You could provide them every proof under the sun, and they're still never going to change. So why do they continue letting you talk? Why do they continue asking you for more proofs? It's not because they want the proofs. It's not because the proofs are going to change their life. It's because they like someone, they want to talk to somebody. They simply find it mentally stimulating. This is very similar to the audience of the Arur, Asher Meza, Moshe Otero, Klokowski, Manis Friedman, Dror. All of these people have a crowd that's very similar to them. Not all of those people, but a lot of their victims are very similar to them. They're perpetrators themselves. They're not open to changing. They're not open to developing themselves and changing themselves. They simply have concluded that they already know what's best, and they're going to find the things that fit their agenda. People like that, we do not help. Why? It's a waste of time. It's simply a waste of time. And I know everybody means well, and everybody says, listen, but I got this guy, he's my brother, he's my employee, he's my cousin, he's my this, he's my that. Can you talk to him? Again, you can try it and fail and end up wasting all of your energy on the ones that simply have no chance of succeeding. Now, does that mean that those people are lost causes? No, it doesn't mean that they're lost causes. It means that today it's a lost cause. Perhaps in the future, they will change their perspective once they see that their path in life, their journey, their direction in life is not working. It's a disaster. It's only leading them to more sorrow, more agony, more failures. And perhaps they'll be open to changing. But that means that Yad Hashem has to get involved. The hand of Hashem has to get involved. It has to destroy their world, which is, Baruch Hashem, happening to some of these wicked people like Asher Meza and others, where their world is collapsing in front of them. Some stuff that they're admitting to, some stuff that's happening behind the scenes. But Baruch Hashem, a lot of these people, believe it or not, destroying them is the biggest favor you can do for them, because perhaps maybe then they'll be open to change. But again, if you're doing it to help people, you're going about it the right way. If you're not doing it to help people, then you shouldn't be doing it at all. The best case scenario, just do indirect kiruv, send a lecture, run away. Send a video, walk away. Send a text message and move on with your life. Don't go into these debates, if you will, because again, there's just too many people that want to be helped, that want to listen to the good things, want to listen to new insights, new direction, new advice, but simply are waiting for their turn. So if you waste all of your time and energy on those people that you're more inclined to help because they're in front of you, because they're family, because they're friends, you're really missing out on a lot of opportunities that would give you just as much of a reward. The same 310 worlds that you would get to help your cousin or your brother or your employee, for helping them do tshuva, you'll get on a complete stranger out of Arkansas, out of New York, out of Montana, or out of California. Same exact thing. You'll get the same exact reward. And again, even though, if you're really doing it for the sake of heaven, you're not doing it for the reward. If you're doing it for the sake of helping people, what difference does it make if you're helping your cousin or if you're helping some stranger? They're all your brothers. They're all part of the same nation. And that's really one of the things that the Chachamim, the Gdolim, understood full well. In the Sefer Rachamei Aav, in page 114, there's a story about one of the Gdolei Ador of the past generation, Arav Shmuel Levi Wosner, Alav Hashalom. And Arav Wosner, Alav Hashalom, before he died, just a few months before he died, he says to his family during a Seudah Shlishit, on Shabbat, Seudah Shlishit, he gives them a Dvar Torah, and he says, I know personally a person that years ago, he had a dream. And in his dream, the Bet Din of Shamayim came to him and said, your time is up. Your time in this world is up. There's a certain amount of time that HaKadosh Baruch Hu allotted for you when you were born already. What the time before you were born, when the angel Laila came to Shamayim, asked Hashem what will be with the seed. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, this is going to be Shmuel Vosner is going to have a very special neshama, has a lot of opportunities. If he utilizes it the right way, he'll be able to be a Gdol Ador. He'll have if not, Hashem Yirachem. But nonetheless, it was already decided you're going to get X amount of years in the world. And now is that time. But the reason why we're coming to you is to let you know that there's been a debate in Shamayim. If we can change this deen. After the Chachamim were debating in Shamayim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu got involved. And he said, no, we're not taking him. Why not? Because all of the things that he did in his life were purely for the sake of heaven. It wasn't to make money. It wasn't to gain reputation. He wasn't helping the poor Jews, both spiritually and materially, because he was looking for some type of recognition. Everything he did is for the sake of heaven. And because of that, it's worth it for me to have more partners like this in the world. We're going to give him an X amount more years. And Rav Wozner, which was talking about somebody else, but later on it was found out that the story was really about himself, says that they allotted this person many more years in the world. Shortly after he told the story to the family, he passed away, and they found out through different ways that in reality he was talking about himself. The dream was a dream that he had. He was already supposed to leave the world many years beforehand. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu was so happy with his actions and how they were purely for the sake of heaven. You know, their tzedakah was for the sake of heaven. Their learning Torah was sake of heaven. These types of people are very special people. And Baruch Hashem, when a person does things for the sake of heaven, all they think about is, what good can I do with the resources that I have? Unfortunately, sometimes the Yetzer Hara fools people and tries to carry them in the wrong direction by telling them, listen, yes, you're doing good, but maybe you can do even better, where you could benefit out of it in this way. You're doing a mitzvah, but perhaps you could also get a financial benefit, a tax write-off for it, or some type of recognition for it, or such as this or such as that. And this, unfortunately, is a trap that happens to many people, where they will donate, but only to the institution that they're going to get the most write-off for. You know, a financial write-off. Or they're only going to donate in the country they live in, because they get the tax write-off from the government only if they donate for the, in the country that they live in. Even if they benefit and they know that there's an institution that is much better, but is not necessarily local. They're in Israel, and this institution is in America. So what do? They don't donate to that company. They figure, listen, I'll learn, I'll benefit from this institution by learning from it, but the mitzvahs, the investments I'll make will be locally. Why locally? Because it's also a mitzvah to donate to a different Torah institution, which is right, but I also get a financial benefit, so why shouldn't I do it? This, Rabotai, is the wrong mentality. This is purely a person that is not doing anything for the sake of heaven. Not even the mitzvah is for the sake of heaven. Not even the mitzvah is for the sake of heaven. And that's a problem, that the Yetzer Hara will sometimes catch good people in a moment of weakness. So when a person is going to do kiruv, when a person is going to help, when a person is going to learn, when a person is going to do a mitzvah, always think about, let me do this the best way I possibly can. The best way I possibly can. Surely you're allowed to have other benefits from it, but those other benefits are always secondary if important at all. If important at all. And this is one of the things that we always learned from the Gedolei Hador. Hence the reason why the Gedolim, when they arrived at their conclusions of what the truth is, what the halacha is, what is the emet here, what is the emet that, it wasn't something that they just shot off the cuff and just said, listen, this is what it is. This is after an enormous amount of digging, toiling, understanding, evaluating, consulting. There's a lot of toil that goes into each and every single word that the Chachamim put on paper. It's not like the secular authors that could just pretty much write whatever they want because it's not a true story to begin with. Or write whatever they want, even if it's false on a real person, doesn't really make much of a difference. What's the big deal? When Chachamim said something, they knew that their words were going to determine life or death. Their words were going to determine an eternity of good or an eternity of Hashem Yachem, of problems. So they calculated things very carefully, and that's why I always emphasize the importance of emunat chachamim, having faith in our sages, because the more a person learns Torah, the more a person will understand how much it takes to arrive at the truth. Sometimes we forget that when we get the truth handed to us on a silver platter, thinking, oh yeah, it's the truth, so I would have arrived at this conclusion anyway on my own. Wrong. Wrong. Why? You didn't get it until now. What makes you think you would have gotten it any other way? That's really one of the biggest things that people don't understand. People always assume that the truth is so easy to attain, I could just go into any locker, open it up, and find it there. I can go into any website, any rabbi, any book, and I'll arrive at it there. I could open any chumash, and I can understand it there. Wrong. To get the truth, Rabotai Karim, takes a lot. It takes a lot of effort. And for the Chachamim to come and bring us the truth on a silver platter, it took an enormous amount of effort. So that's why when they say something, it has a huge weight in the world of the Torah, in the world of Judaism, not just for people, but also for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which is the reason why HaKadosh Baruch Hu is willing to have people go against him and not punish them right away. But when somebody goes against the Chachamim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is more zealous against those people than he is against people going against him. So this is one of the things we've seen time and time again in different stories of the sages, in the teachings of the sages, in life experience. When people go against Chachamim, it's just a disaster waiting to happen, and it's usually not going to wait very long. And this is one of the things that a person needs to understand, that if the sages are going to say something, you have to take it seriously. If you're going to learn the truth, you have to understand that the truth cannot be compared to anything else on a similar scale. Meaning, to learn something from the Gaon of Vilna is not anything like to learn something from some imam or some pastor or some proud boy advocate or politician or Freemason or some general scholar. They're worlds apart. They're worlds apart. Why are they worlds apart? When the scholar, when the pastor, when the imam, when the whoever is teaching whatever they're teaching, of course, if they're relatively decent people, they believe that what they say is the truth. But if it's not the truth, if the business advisor is telling you something that you're going to invest X amount of money in such and such investment, you're going to make X amount. If you're going to vote for this such and such person, you're going to benefit in XYZ. If you're going to go in this particular path of nutrition, you'll get such and such results. They all are going to lead you in a certain way. If you support us, you'll get this and this. Now, what happens when they're wrong? What happens when they're wrong? Now, first and foremost, before we answer that question of what happens to what they're wrong, what do they really put behind it? Like, what's backing this opinion, this teaching that they have? When a pastor says something and he writes on his little chalkboard or one of his PowerPoint interview, presentations in his mega church, and he tells people that it's such and such and blah 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 and titata, and he says all these different things. Many times you see in today's pastors, they're very different than the original Christians. The original Christians had some type of connection to the original false teachings. Today, it's a new level of falsehood where pretty much every pastor has a new religion. They all call themselves Christians and so on, but in reality, they're all completely different from each other. They all have completely different beliefs. Completely different beliefs. There's literally no two pastors that are the same because they don't have a masoret that goes all the way to Mount Sinai like we, Baruch Hashem, have. They don't have sages that everybody appreciates, everybody understands their value and so on. They simply, whatever the guy thinks, that's what he's going to teach. So it's no different than a self-help or a guru or anybody else that's just going to teach you whatever he thinks from his so-called life experience, his so-called understanding, and his so-called perspective. So what happens, when they do this? They review it. They decide this is what it's going to be. Perhaps they're going to ask one or two people, see their reaction. Most of the time, they're not going to ask anybody because no one wants to tell the boss what to say. Similar to how it is in business. No one's going to tell the CEO they're wrong and still expect to keep their job, unless that's their job, which very few CEOs actually have such people. But nonetheless, what ends up happening is that means that first and foremost, there's virtually nothing backing up that firm advice, that whole teaching, which means that if it's wrong, so what? Okay, I'm wrong, I'm only human. That's all they're going to say. I'm wrong, I'm only human. I made a mistake. Yeah, but your mistake cost people a ton of money. Your mistake cost people their life. Your mistake cost people such and such. Okay, so they cost it, so we can move on. We can learn from our mistakes. Meaning, there's nothing. There's no consequence. There's simply no consequence. And this is the world. It's not just in the Christian world, it's not just in the Muslim world, it's not just in the business world or anything else. It's everywhere. That's just the way it is. In the Torah world, when the sages paskin something, when they're bringing you something, first and foremost, there is a rule. What is the rule? The rule is you cannot bring anything from nothing. It has to have a source. Everything has to have a source. What about a chidush? What about a new insight? Even a new insight has to have some type of legs that already existed that you're building on. You can't just bring a chidush from nothing. It has to be backed by other supporting evidence, other supporting opinions. You have to find yourself a friend, they call it in the Torah world, that thinks like you, that said what you said, and he brings a different opinion and a different opinion and a different opinion. All are in line. So, why did they have to have some type of pre-existing foundation? Because first and foremost, everything has to be sourced from the Torah, from the 5 books of Moses. Everything has to have some type of source over there. You can't just decide this is what it means. Second of all, if you're wrong, the weight is enormous. Enormous. It could change lives in such a fashion that it could literally destroy lives. So much so, Rabotai, that in the time of Rabbi Israel Misalant, there was a shoemaker. Shoemaker kept Torah, mitzvot, decent human being. And this shoemaker was savvy, was doing business the right way, and had a blessing, had bracha. And as you would have it, HaKadosh Baruch Hu made this shoemaker go from being a shoemaker that was basically making ends meet to become extremely successful. Multi-millionaire. One day, this shoemaker, who's now a multi-millionaire with many different factories of shoes and so on, had to marry off his daughter. They found a nice groom, a nice chatan for the daughter, another good Jew that wants to marry his daughter. Now the shoemaker has to have a big event because he's not the regular shoemaker that he used to be, that's just making ends meet just to buy some apples and bananas for his family to survive. This is a multimillionaire, so he has a bunch of multimillionaire friends and friends of friends, so the party has to fit. The party has to fit. So he organizes this huge event, this huge wedding for his daughter, and he invites all of the rich people. One of the rich people didn't like this shoemaker so much. In fact, he hated him. He hated him with a passion. Sinat chinam, one Jew hates another for no actual real reason. What was his reason? He's new money, he's not like us. He's a here today, gone tomorrow. You know, those people that don't like anybody else disturbing their hatred that they already hate. You know, they don't want any new people. That's unfortunately a reality of life. It's in every part of the world. In religion, in non-religious, there are always people that hate the new guy. No actual real reason other than jealousy and simply self-hatred. But anyway, this vile person was also a Jew and also came to the wedding, even though he hates the person that's hosting the wedding. But he decided that he's going to remind the shoemaker where he came from. He's going to, he's like one of those people, he wants to teach him a lesson. Some people, I'm going to teach you a lesson. Like one of those people. So he brought with him a couple of broken shoes that he had. And he comes to the event, and everybody's there. It's a fancy place, chandeliers and lighting and so on and so forth. Beautiful event. All of the well-to-do people, the millionaires of the day show up. All of the big rabbis are there and so on. And Rabbi Israel Misalant is also there. And suddenly, this hateful person comes up to the shoemaker and says to him, "Hey," and he shows him the two shoes. "Can you do me a favor? Can you fix these shoes for me? How much is it going to cost me for you to fix me these two shoes?" And he brings him two broken shoes in the middle of a wedding that cost a fortune. "How much can you fix these shoes?" All of the rich people are seeing this embarrassment. All of the rabbis are seeing this embarrassment. The daughter is seeing this embarrassment. Our new husband seeing this embarrassment. Mamash murdering him in front of people without cursing, without yelling, without anything. Just simply reminding him of where he came from with some shoes. The shoemaker is so embarrassed, he passes out. Rabbi Israel Misalant says, at that moment, when I saw that, I knew that in Shamayim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu just took out all of the big sages from the previous generation, took them out of Gan Eden and put them in Gehenom as a punishment for having such a student. What do you mean having such a student? They're not even in the world. Yes, but if your teachings yielded such fruits, surely you are responsible and have to pay the bill, even though you are a tzaddik, even though you tried your best. Still, there was such rotten fruits from your endeavors, something is not good. For a person to be so evil cannot come from nothing. Even that has to stem from somewhere. And this is Rabbi Israel Misalant talking about the giants, the tzaddikim, had to be removed from Gan Eden, from heaven temporarily, to get paid, to punishment for the sin of this wicked, evil person. But also Rabbi Israel Misalant says, then I also learned how necessary the Musar teachings are today more than ever. And when the students ask him, do you think that the Musar is going to change that evil person to do tshuva? Rabbi Israel Misalant says to them, absolutely not. The Musar is not for evil people. It's not for people like that. He doesn't want to help himself. I cannot help such a person. What's the Musar for? The Musar is for the victim. The Musar is for the shoemaker that got so embarrassed from an evil, ugly monster to the point where he lost consciousness. If he learns the right amount of Musar, he'll know that in fact the whole thing was to his benefit. The fact that he murdered him in public wiped out all of his sins. The fact that he murdered him in public helped his neshama. The fact that he murdered him in public helped him in such a way, but he's not seeing it that way. He's suffering instead of celebrating. Musar will teach him that. Musar will perfect this already decent person to become even better. That's what Musar is for. It's for people that want to help themselves, not for the evil monsters that already think they know everything. So here we see that, again, the sages, when they say something, for him to say such a statement about tzaddikim being removed from heaven, this is a very, very big statement to say. You can't just say things like this if you're not certain that this is what it is. Because then you're desecrating the names of the sages. Then you're going against Hashem's favorite soldiers, favorite sons. So of course, Rabotai, this is to teach each and every one of us that we all have a responsibility. The fruits that come from us will have a weight in the world while we're alive and even after. This is also why when the Gaon of Vilna was telling his wife about the observation of Shabbat, Oneg Shabbat, not wasting words, not talking idly, and so on, he's telling her all types of critical things that he knows, not believes. He knows you cannot live without if you expect to have a holy life. But now he continues, and he says, והעיקר הכל, שלא יצאו חס ושלום מפתח ביתם ולחוץ, וישתתו ויכבדו אותך, ולאמי ולכל הגדולים בשנים מהם, וגם כל מה שכתוב בספרי מוסר ויקיימו. And the most important, meaning everything he just said is important. But right now what he's about to say, most important. And most importantly, they must, he's talking about the children still, they must not, heaven forbid, chas v'shalom, they must not leave the portals of their home and go outside. And they must obey and respect you and my mother and all those senior in years to them. They also need to uphold all that is written in the Musar books. Here he's continuing the chinuch, teaching us, teaching his wife what is necessary from these kids, and now he's giving us the most important. But now if you just heard what I just said, your mouth is in shock. You have to lift your jaw back up. Why? You just said don't leave the house. What do you mean don't leave the house? How are we going to go to school? How are we going to go buy something from the store? How are we going to go to work? How are we going to do all these things? Take it easy. Let's understand the words of the sages. What does it mean? Most importantly, they must not, chas v'shalom, leave the portals of their home and go outside. In Sefer Bereshit, the book of Genesis, in chapter 34, we have one of the most tragic stories that ever happened to Am Yisrael. And it's even before Matan Torah. What is this tragic story? The Torah says the daughter of Yaakov Avinu went out. The daughter of Yaakov Avinu, by name of Dinah, went out to go see what the girls were doing. Which girls? The non-Jewish girls. And the Torah tells us that while she went out to go see what the girls were doing, see where they were shopping, what they're wearing, what they're playing, what they're talking about, she's not going there to become a Christian. She's not going out there to become a prostitute. She's not going out there to go do drugs. She wants to go see what they're doing. Akadosh Baruch Hu punishes her such a punishment that until today it has an impact in the world. Where this evil monster rapes her and puts her in prison. Not willing to let her go. This little young girl, the daughter of the biggest tzaddik in the world, is captured and is constantly raped by this monster. But because he wants to show that he's really, and he comes from royalty, and he wants to show that he's moral and he's a decent person, he comes with his father to Yaakov and says, listen, by the way, your daughter, she hasn't been home in a while. Yeah, I know where she is. She's in my house. Yeah, I love her. Yeah, I love your daughter. I want to marry her. Now, regular people that do not have Torah, do not have patience, and are very passionate people, simply say, 1 second before you finish your sentence, let me just close the window. Shh. Hold on a second, let me close the door. Shh. Steve, watch the door. Hey, watch the window. Okay, hold on 1 second, let me get you. You want something to drink? Hold on 1 second. Let me get something from the closet, 1 second. Comes out with a bat, a machete, perhaps a few guns, something, to make a shakshuka out of these people. That's what you do. But no, Yaakov sits with them, listens to this evil monster with his kids. Yeah, let Shimon and Levi say, yeah, you know what, listen, you did what you did, but if you want to be part of us, you have to do a brit milah. And, of course, after they do the circumcision, Shimon and Levi come and murder everybody. And Yaakov rebukes them. Not because it was wrong to kill them. It's 100% right according to the Torah to kill them. But why did you say otherwise? Why weren't you upfront about it? Why didn't you say it right there and then? Why did you deceive them to think for a moment that we are on the same page? But if we go back to the story itself, what did Dinah do to deserve such a punishment from heaven? Of course, anyone that knows Torah knows this didn't just happen. If rape was just happening everywhere and running rampant to all of the people out there, of course the Torah would not make such a big deal out of it and mention it in precious letters and words in the Torah. A whole section of the Torah is talking about this, that every first grader has to learn about this for the rest of their life. Every year we read the parasha that talks about Dinah getting raped. Imagine, your father is the biggest tzaddik in the world, and the girl gets raped. The next day, it's already bad. The next day, it's in the front paper, in the news. All of the wicked newspapers, the New York Times, and this Times, and that Times, and the End of Times, all of the papers. And then today you have websites, the CNN, and the CNBC, and the Bloomberg, and whoever else is out there, all the fake sites, and the real sites, and the blogs. Everybody's discussing it. Front page of every big tzaddik, your cover, daughter next to him, and the word raped on it. What an embarrassment. Imagine, it's not only in the news, it's not only in the newspapers, but to make a whole 60-minute special about it. Even more of a nightmare. Imagine, this, they decide, has to be repeated at least once per year. International Day, discussion of the rape of such and such person. What embarrassment. You want to bury yourself just thinking about it. But this is actually what's happening. This is what's happening. Dinah is right now sitting in Gan Eden and is benefiting out of this story. Because when a person truly understands, when that first grader, that second grader, third grader, fourth grader, those yeshiva bachurim, those avrechim, those rabbis, those poskim, all of Am Yisrael learn this story in the right fashion, surely it makes them do tshuva. Surely it makes them check their own backyard, their own house to see, do I have a Dinah in my house? Are my kids like Dinah? Well, how could they be like Dinah? Do my kids go out? Does my wife go out for no reason? Not do they go outside. If you need to go to the store because you need to buy some milk, Chalav Israel, you need to buy some machala if you didn't make it, you need to buy some kosher meat, you need to buy some clothes for the kids, for yourself, all those things, you need to go work, perfectly fine. You need to go to Bet Midrash, you need to go to the supermarket, you need to go to the tool shop, no problem. Things that are necessary you need to do. But sometimes there are people, they don't have anything to do. So what do? They call their friends and they know they also have nothing to do. Hey, what are you doing? Nothing. What are you doing? Nothing. You want to do something? Sure. What are we going to do? We'll do nothing together. Okay, where are we going to do nothing together? Let's go to a coffee shop. Okay, great. All right, I'll pick you up. Okay, I'll pick you up. Okay, you know what? Let's call Martha. Maybe Martha wants to come with us also. Hey, Martha, what are you doing? Nothing. Oh, great. Let's go to the coffee shop. The same one we went yesterday? No, I have a better one. And they go to the coffee shop. And they go walk around the mall. And they walk around nothing, doing nothing. That, Rabotai, that's the problem. Going out of the house for absolutely no reason is simply a terrible idea. Terrible idea. If you have a legitimate reason, you need to do something for the sake of the kids, for the husband, for yourself, and so on, no problem. But to go walloping around the town like you're some show horse, that's what Dinah did. Dinah wanted to go see what the Goyot were doing. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, you want to know what they're doing? Let me show you what, not only what they're doing, what they're going to do, what they want to do. And this, Rabotai, was the rebuke on Dinah, but even more so on us, where many people simply think that they just have time to burn, to just walk around, go to malls, go to stores, go walk around and just get some fresh air. But not once in a while. Every day, 3 times a week, 5 times a week, and so on and so forth. Oh, honey, why don't you take me out? Well, listen, take out the wife once in a while. You need to do it. No problem. Some wives, they want to be taken out. Okay, no problem. But no, I want it every week. Every Motzei Shabbat, I want you to take me somewhere else. Every Thursday night, I want to do date night. I want you to take me to this place or different dinners. We're going to do this, we're going to do that. When is he going to have time to learn Torah, Ribono Shel Olam? If he keeps taking you out to the mall, to the this, eventually he's going to take you to the cemetery also. But when is he going to have time to become a Talmid Chacham? Where do you think he's going to go? He's going to become a Talmid Chacham by taking you to malls. He's going to become a scholar. He's going to know anything of how to live like a Jew, how to lead a family by taking you to go shopping at once, twice a week. Oh no! Why don't you come with me to my friend's house? You could talk to her husband, and I'll talk to his wife. You know, we'll do double date. Who has kind of time? Who has this kind of time? Who has this kind of time? When are you going to have time to become a Torah scholar? When are you going to have time to know what to do as a Jew? No, I want to have fun. Okay, you want to have fun. Again, it's not a sin to have fun. But every week, every other day, every night, Hashem Yishmor v'Yatzil. Once in a while, you have a family gathering. Once in a while, there's an event. Fine. Some people need to do it. There's no problem. People make the life out of it. Every night they want to do something. Every week they want to do something. And chas v'shalom, the husband doesn't want to go because he wants to go to a shiur Torah, or he wants to learn some Gemara, or he wants to go to attend a shiur, or he wants to do anything. Oh, you don't treat me good. No, you see, my friend, our husband, always takes her out. He just took her to Bahamas. Next week's going to take her to Gaon and Kafakela. A week after that, we're not sure if they'll come back. You know, you're not so nice to me. Rabotai Karim, when are you going to have time to raise your kids if you're not home? When are you going to have time to learn Torah if you're not home? When are you going to have time to really understand why you're in this world and talk to HaKadosh Baruch Hu if you're constantly thinking about coffee and dinner and what to eat and where to go and when to drive and what to wear? It's okay to have some fun, but if your whole life is that, it's a very big problem. Very big problem. And it's a problem because people not only do it themselves and make their life this so-called fun, but that's the chinuch they teach their kids. The kids look at Shabbat as a time where you are showing off all of your stuff. They invite everybody, not because these people have nothing to eat. Rather, everybody wants to show off the new chandelier and the new kitchen and the new silverware and the new watch and the new dress and the new this and the new that. Okay. If it was just on Shabbat, you would say, okay, if that's our problems, let that be our problems. But it's not that. They teach the kids, listen, you have to drive a certain type of car. You have to dress a certain type of way. You have to look a certain, you have to have a certain type of job. You have to marry a certain type of person. And it's so much materialism everywhere that you ask yourself, where's the Jew? Where is the Jew? Where is the Jew? Listen, Rabotai, I am not against prosperity, success, and benefits from material. Don't think that for a moment. But when that becomes your life, when your whole life, all of the time that you have left from working, from just handling the things you need to, all that other time that you have left is spent remodeling your house so you could show it off to people, or going and to dinners and going to malls and shopping for the 50th collection of bags and shoes and so on, you, my friend, have a very serious problem. Why? You're teaching your kids to be Greeks. You're teaching your Jewish kids to be Greeks, Romans, maybe Turks, maybe Englishmen, maybe Babylonians, Persians, definitely not Jews. Definitely not Jews. Why? Because Jews learn how to be Jews from the Torah. And Torah they learn in yeshiva, and Torah they learn from the chinuch of their parents. But if the parents are constantly, all over the place, that's what the kids are going to want. The kid is not going to think, oh yeah, it's because my father is observant of Torah and mitzvot, that's why he succeeds. No, he's thinking, it's because my father is a lawyer, because my father's a doctor, because my father's a real estate developer or some other form of businessman, that's why he succeeds. So you know what? If I just focused on the business, then I'll even be more successful than my father. Who has time for Shabbos? Who has time for this? Who has time for that? And many times you see the generations continue to get worse and worse and worse and worse. The parents talk about money on Shabbat. The kids end up working on Shabbat. The parents make their social life simply their whole life. The kids end up abandoning all spirituality altogether, and you have a generation of atheism. This, Rabotai, was why HaKadosh Baruch Hu rebuked and punished Dinah severely. But he also punished her parents. Yaakov, how did you let your daughter Dinah think that she can just walk around outside for no reason? This, Rabotai, is one of the critical differences between our holy Torah and the rest of the falsehood. Our Torah even shows the mistakes of the greatest people that ever lived. They're all in heaven and we wish we could just be dust under their feet. But we still have to understand that every single year a Jewish person is obligated to learn about what happened to Dinah and apply it to themselves. This is why the Gaon of Vilna, that some of the Chachamim of his generation, and today say the Gaon was not of his generation. He could be compared to the Tanaim of almost 2,000 years ago, but at least the Amoraim, which were the following generation. Meaning, he was not relevant to anybody else. And out of all of the wisdom that the Gaon of Vilna has, he decides this is the most important point to teach. Do not let our kids leave the portals of our home and go outside for no reason. For no reason. Why? If they become street kids, if they start thinking that they can get their wisdom, their teachings, their educations from the street, from the random people, and not from our sages, not from their parents, not from the Musar books, not from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They could just go learn from whoever they can find, whatever friend befriends them, Jew or Gentile, whatever person decides to host them, whoever it is, friend or foe. They can learn from everybody. This will lead to a disaster unlike anything else, and no short of what happened to Dinah. This is what the Gaon of Vilna is teaching us here, Rabotai. And this is really what's taught to us in the book of Genesis. In the book of Genesis. What happened to Dinah? Why did Dinah get such a thing? And why is this horrible event so important to Hashem that he writes it in the Torah for us to review it every single year? At least once. As part of the weekly parasha. Of course, you should review it more. But at the very least, we're obligated to go into this story and learn Musar from it. Because the book of Genesis, Sefer Bereshit, is also called Sefer Hayashar. Why Sefer Hayashar? The book of straight. Because the Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, the patriarchs, they were the most honest, moral people that ever existed. If a person wants to learn morality, if a person wants to learn how to be a straight person, you learn from Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. That's the foundation. This is the reason why even Bil'am HaRasha, Bil'am the wicked, vile person, that was committing bestiality every single day with his donkey, this disgusting person, in Parashat Bil'am, in Parashat Balak, says, give me the death of the Yesharim. Tamut nafshi mot Yesharim, Bil'am says. May I die the death of the Yesharim. Rashi over there says, what is this death of the Yesharim? This Bil'am HaRasha says, let me have the same end like Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. He wants to live the vile, disgusting life of Bil'am, but he wants to have the end of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov because their end is the best. Surely that's far, far away from reality. But nonetheless, even the vile, disgusting person Bil'am knew that the Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, that's the best of the best. That's the best of the best. I want to have their end. I want to have their heaven. They're the best people. But why are they the best people? Because they're Yesharim. They're straight, they're honest, they're moral. They make a mistake, they admit. When Yehuda understood that he made a mistake, he said, Tzadka mimeni. Tamar, she's righteous. She was right, I was wrong. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said a bat kol, a heavenly voice came from Shamayim. Says, no mimeni, for me, she was righteous. Meaning he got involved. Hey, Yehuda, don't worry, I got involved in this whole thing. But Yehuda admitted that he made a mistake. Reuven admitted he made a mistake. Our sages teach us from this foundation. When a person understands that this foundation teaches us to stay away from thugs, from straight people, from ignoramuses, from people that don't live the life of Torah, and even people that live the life of Torah, but in look, but not in reality. They dress the part, but they don't necessarily act the part. Torah tells us, do not socialize with these people. Do not befriend these people. Do not spend your time with these people. You want to do kiruv? You have to do kiruv like Aaron HaKohen. The Mishnah in Pirkei Avot says, Aaron HaKohen, Ohev Shalom, Rodef Shalom. He loved peace and he chased peace. How did he do it? He brought Am Yisrael to the Torah. What shouldn't it be? He brought the Torah to Am Yisrael? No. He brought Am Yisrael to the Torah. Why bring in Am Yisrael to the Torah? Because the Torah doesn't bow for anybody. Here's the Torah from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This is it. I'm not going to change it. I'm not going to bend it. I'm not going to manipulate it to fit your agenda and your weaknesses. This is what it is. Let me bring you up to speed of where the Torah is. And you decide what you want to do with that truth. You decide what you want to do with that law. You decide, but I'm not going to change the law and tell you like the conservatives did to their community about 70 years ago. At that time, 70 plus years ago, the conservative movement of Judaism in America was very similar to modern orthodoxy today. Very similar. How so? They were observant of Shabbat, they ate kashrut, they had some problems, but nonetheless, generally speaking, many people were observant of Shabbat. About 70 years ago, their rabbis decided, listen, we see a lot of you are buying houses that are far away from the community, and therefore you're not coming to the synagogue on Shabbat, so we have paskin a new halacha to cater to the times. We're lowering the Torah to you. How? From now on, you're allowed to drive on Shabbat to the synagogue as long as you only drive to the synagogue and the closest synagogue. They destroyed the Torah, destroyed it. Because today, we see the results. Everybody from those communities moved wherever they moved to, driving 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 5 minutes, an hour to go to their favorite synagogue, completely disregarding the original advice altogether. But nonetheless, the whole community drives to shul. Nobody keeps Shabbat in the community, including the rabbis. The head rabbi of the conservative movement in Jerusalem is openly homosexual. Today, the conservative movement is virtually identical on a larger scale to the Reform. The Reform are a lot worse in certain aspects because many of them are anti-Israel. A lot of them are the liberal, lefty, anti-Torah. They give bar mitzvah to dogs. They make all types of events just dafka to destroy the Torah even worse. But the conservatives are no better. They're not like these, some of them are decent people, but unfortunately very difficult to change because they don't think they're mistaken because they heard it from so-called rabbis. The worst part about all of this is that this happened in a short period of time and happened in one generation. They told them one rule, you're allowed to drive on Shabbat, which no real Torah scholar ever allowed. Just people that didn't know Torah made this rule. And now you see that nobody keeps Shabbat in those communities. And even though they have a lot of customs that are similar to an Orthodox Jew, they're all going to go to Gaon if they don't do tshuva, because nobody keeps Shabbat. But in their mind, since the rabbi said you're allowed to drive on Shabbat, they're allowed to drive. This is a disaster of all disasters. This is literally mass murder of all of those people and their kids. Baruch Hashem, we have many students that have come from the conservative and the reforms and have done tshuva, and Baruch Hashem are living great lives of honesty and integrity today, and see how vile the lies are of how they grew up. But unfortunately not enough. Not enough. There's still many to go. But still, the worst part about all of it is that this is where the modern orthodoxy is today. Where modern orthodoxy is not in the beginning stages of where a conservative was 7 years ago. Modern orthodoxy is already halfway through, where you see in most modern Orthodox synagogues, almost all of them that I know, a large portion of the community drives on Shabbat. The biggest modern Orthodox shul that I know of in Boca Raton, our friend Ephraim Goldberg's synagogue, has an entire parking lot that you could fit literally at least 100 to 200 cars in there. Every Shabbat is more active during Shabbat than it is during the rest of the year. People driving in and out for several minyanim. And you'll see people coming out with a kippah, no different than mine, with a talit back, out of their car on Shabbat, thinking there's nothing wrong with it. Showing up to a 5:30 in the morning minyan, driving on Shabbat, modern Orthodox. He thinks he's Orthodox. He doesn't think there's anything wrong with it. Rabbi doesn't say anything about it, and in fact caters to them, reserving to them an entire parking lot with a guy that's supervising the cars. They even pay for an employee to supervise the cars. And you see, many of the synagogues today have an open parking lot on Shabbat. So, literally, you see that modern Orthodoxy is little by little becoming no different than conservative. Of course, it's the same, at the very least, as what conservative used to be, but today's becoming closer to what it's becoming. Because now you have even some modern Orthodox rabbis saying that LGBT is perfectly fine, we should cater to the homosexuals, and so on and so forth. So you see that when we veer away from the words of the sages, even a little bit to the right, or a little bit to the left, disaster is surely to follow. This is why the Gaon of Vilna made such a big deal out of this. Don't go outside. Don't go to all of the people that don't understand the magnitude of staying inside, learning Torah, doing mitzvot, being reserved. There's a reason why HaKadosh Baruch Hu made a pasuk in the Torah, in the Ketuvim. Kol kvoda bat melech pnima, Shlomo HaMelech says. All of the honor of the daughter of the king is inside. This is one of the most extraordinary verses that signifies the importance of modesty of a woman. Being a daughter of the king, you want to have the honor, you want to have the real kavod, be reserved, be inside. But unfortunately today, Rabotai, people think that this is a foreign thought. But spending many, many years learning and rubbing elbows with very successful people, I can assure you that all of what I just said, of being reserved, being secluded, being inside, not rubbing elbows with just anybody that's going to be out there just to go learn what the next street thug is going to teach me or what the next foreign believer is going to teach me. No. Being very particular about who I learn from, who I spend time with, who I play with, who I eat with. This is the mindset of all successful people, especially the ones that survive more than just a single lifetime, like the multi-generational ones. How do I know? I saw them. I rubbed elbows with them. I had dinner with these people. I was on a board with these people. And you see each one of those people, the successful people, the more successful, the more they understand how important it is to send their children to private schools and not public schools. Why private? At least in a private school, I have a choice of whether to send my kid to a school that teaches certain things or not, first and foremost. Second of all, I know that there is more particular parameters of who's going to be accepted based on social status, based on certain behaviors are expected from those kids. So they make sure that they send their kids to particular schools. Even more so, they make sure that their kids dress a certain way, act a certain way, especially the more successful. They don't allow their kids to be tattoo artists. And if they see one of their kids going off the derech, and I'm not talking about Jews, I'm talking about non-Jews. They see one of their kids starting to hang out with some thugs, starting to hang out with some street people, starting to go out to clubs and so on. They rebuke him just like as if a rabbi would rebuke his own son. This is not acceptable. Now, of course, today things have changed in certain aspects because people think that success is what you see on TV, but it's not. What you see on TV is an illusion. It's an illusion of success. The real successful people, you don't see them on TV. The real successful people, the ones that you see all over the US, in the Middle East, in Europe, all over the world, those people, you're never going to see them on TV. In fact, many of them don't even own a TV. They live a life, literally, not very different than a Orthodox religious family. As far as their perspective of how they do not want to rub elbows with the wrong people. They do not want to live next to everybody. That's why they buy houses with a lot of land. They don't want neighbors. And if you want to come over, you have to make an appointment. Oh yeah, you can come next month on the 4th of the month at 3 o'clock till 5 o'clock and then you'll leave. I already know when you're coming. I know when you're going to leave. I know how much influence you could have on my life. You can't just show up at my house. That's the mentality of successful people. Why? My time is valuable. And therefore, I don't just have time to waste drinking a beer with you for no reason. I'm either going to have you come over, or I'm going to come over to you, or I'm going to meet you, you're going to meet me, for a specific reason, to discuss a business deal, to discuss a marriage proposal, to discuss some type of common agenda. We're not going to watch the game together. Forget about this weekly event of watching the games together. Only losers do that. Winners do not watch games together on a regular basis. Maybe once a year on a major event, as a party, fine. But every week going to people's houses, and that's only people that are losers do that. Winners do not waste their life. The most successful people in the world, Rabotai Karim, do not waste their time watching this stuff even. Surely you can have an exception to every rule. But usually it's because the guy owns the team. He watches every game because he owns the team or a big portion of it. It's his business. You're a fan. You're just making him richer. But in reality, successful people don't have time to socialize, to go to a mall, to go have a coffee just to chit-chat and catch up. The people that go there are either people that have nothing to do or they're looking for something to do. They're looking to get some type of deal or something. They're looking for something. The actual people that have made it, that have succeeded, don't have time for, oh, can you call me just to see what's going on? No! I can't call you just to see what's going on. Why? I'm too busy doing stuff that means something. Doing stuff that's productive. It's not my problem that you have nothing to do with your life. And this is the mentality of the successful people. And not one, and not two, and not five, and not 500 that I've met. Every single one of them, like clockwork, works the same way. Now, to the people, to the public, it looks like these people always have fun. Why? Because the only pictures you see are when they're on vacation in some, I don't know, some exotic resort, or they're making some type of trip somewhere, or some type of deal. Yeah, those are few and far in between. That's what the media gets. That's what they want you to get. Their real life is focused on their mission. Whether that mission is to discover something, build something, make money, whatever it is. They're busy doing it. They work like dogs. They work like horses. They work nonstop because they're driven. But they also make sure that the ship doesn't break because of a bad foundation. So the way they raise their kids is they make sure that those kids don't just go outside and do nothing. Don't just go anywhere and hang out with nothings. Don't have their wives or their husbands surround themselves with nothings. Why? We have a journey. We have a journey that we all have to be on. You don't want to be on it? That's your problem. You're already part of this family. That's the journey. And this is the mentality of successful people, which they adopted from the Torah. It's not new. This is actually how society always was. Only now you see that this more free mentality has become what is viewed as the norm. But it's not the case. People think that the religious people, the Orthodox people, are too reserved and too secluded and strange. It's the opposite. The Orthodox Jews, the ones that are observing what the Gaon of Vilna says, the ones that are close to the Torah, they're the normal ones. The ones that don't go out to their friends just to waste time and have coffee with 50 million people a week, they're the normal ones. The ones that don't do all of that and that spend their time focused on what they need to do, learn Torah, do mitzvot, be successful in whatever they're doing, they're the normal ones. You, that you have nothing to do with your life and you want to go to coffee shops and movies and you want to do another marathon of Netflix movies, you're the abnormal one. You want to spend at least one day a week, a seventh of your life going to malls. You're the abnormal one. You'll never be successful that way. Never. Why? Because the way of successful people is to not only be motivated, not only to be driven, but to do something about it. To do something about it, Rabotai. This is the mentality of the successful. The more successful, the more reserved. The more successful, the more secluded. And you'll notice that the people that are the socialites are usually almost like a prophetic message to the public of this is the next failure. This is the next bombshell. The more socialite the person is, the more likely that person's end and massive disaster, public disaster is coming. Why? If you were really focused, you would do something that's more meaningful. Now, of course, some people have made socialism, socialite type of behavior their business, but this, of course, is not a good way of life. So you see usually something much more meaningful suffers as a result of it where they have no real life. They're always in the public eye. Either way, Rabotai, this thought, this teaching of the Gaon of Vilna is not really foreign at all. It's actually the road to success, the mentality to success. If you're looking to have boyfriends and girlfriends and such friends and this friends and family and your mother and your sister and your cousin and your parents come to your house every single week and a few times a week at that also, you're never going to have time to actually succeed in what matters in life. That's why the Gaon of Vilna says that heaven forbid that the kids go outside. Why? Why heaven forbid? Because if they're already at a point where they're going outside, that means that they're learning it from you. that means you're also, as their mother, you're going outside. You're socializing. The kids don't just go outside and do nothing all day just because. No, it's because their parents are that way. Their parents are that way. The Torah says in Parashat Ki Titzeh, says, Yeh le'ish ben sorer umoreh, that there's a wayward child. If a man will have a wayward, rebellious son, eneno shomea bekol aviv ubekol imo, who doesn't listen to the voice of his father or his mother. So the Gemara in Masechet Baba Metzia says, why does it say that this Ben Sorer Umoreh doesn't listen to his father and mother? If you could just say he's a Ben Sorer, he's a wayward child. Why does it say that he doesn't listen to his father and mother? Why shouldn't it say he doesn't listen to his parents? Why does it specify? Chachamim teach, if the mother and the father have a united voice in the house, then you're never going to have a wayward child. Meaning, if the mother says something and the father says amen, even if he disagrees, he never disagrees with her in front of the kids. After he says amen, she's right, she's your mother, listen to her, but he disagrees. But he tells her privately, honey, by the way, what you told such and such, you told our daughter, you told our son, I don't think it's right. Because, he doesn't disagree in front of the kids. Doesn't disagree. Never. If the mother has a united voice with the father, when the father says, son, daughter, you do this, this, and this, and he's wrong, she never disagrees with him in front of the kids. She says, he's right, listen to your father. But Ima, nothing but Ima. Your father said it. It's like Moshe Rabbeinu said it. Okay, Ima. Okay, Abba. Later on, she goes to Abba and she says, Abba, by the way, I think you were a little bit too harsh. I think you made a mistake. I think you misunderstood. But she says it privately. In front of the kids, it's united voice. Behind the scenes, sometimes they'll have a difference of opinion. Chachamim say, if there's a united voice of the Ima and the Abba, there is no Ben Sorer Umoreh. The only time there is a Ben Sorer Umoreh, a wayward child, is if he doesn't listen to his mother or his father. Meaning, the opinion of his father and his mother are constantly different. Sometimes it's the opinion of the mother, sometimes sometimes the opinion of the father. Bottom line is, since they can't agree among themselves, why should I agree with them? In so many words, the Chachamim teach us that the Ben Sorer Umoreh is the creation of the parents' lack of Shlom Bait. If the parents cannot agree with each other, surely the kids learn from them not to agree with them either. You don't listen to your wife, you don't listen to your husband, you don't respect each other. Why should I respect you? Why should I respect you? That, Rabotai, is one of the things the kid will learn at home. If the mother is too busy hanging out with our girlfriends, buying new wigs every other month, and buying shoes, and doing this and doing that, and being a socialite, when is she going to have time to give our kids the right guidance? When is she going to have time being an Eshet Chayil? If the father is constantly working, or he's constantly drinking, or he's constantly hanging out, and he's constantly playing sports, and he's constantly watching sports, when is he going to have time to be the tzaddik that his son or his daughter needs to learn from? When? When is he going to have time? Never. So surely, when they're finally together, he's going to have an opinion like everybody else. His wife is going to have a different opinion. His opinion is going to come from the television and the sports news, or the politics. Her opinion is going to come from the hair salon and the mall and the coffee shop. Surely their opinions are foreign to each other. There's machloket. He thinks this, she thinks that. And there you go. The kids are Ben Sorer Umoreh. Doesn't listen to either one of them. Doesn't listen to either one of them. Why? They're too busy to be parents. They know how to have kids, but they don't know how to be parents. You want to be a parent? First and foremost, no. If you have problems with the kids, it's only because of the parents. Because of the parents. It starts with the parents. That's just the reality. You want your kids to do tshuva? Start with you. You do tshuva. You do tshuva, your kids will do tshuva. This, Rabotai, is a rebuke, but it's a rebuke with a lot of value. That if somebody really takes this to heart, they could change their life drastically. They could change their kids' lives. This is why the Gaon of Vilna thought it be important for us to know that the kids have to obey the mother. Even though I'm not going to be around, he says. They still have to respect you the same way that they did when I wasn't there. And if they don't because I wasn't there and perhaps their respect only came just because I was there, then you as a parent have to demand respect from the kids. You have to demand this respect. You have to stand your ground. You can't have the kids walk all over you. Because if you let your kids walk all over you, all you're doing is destroying them. By giving them everything that they want, once they've gotten to a point of the age of chinuch, not when they're little monkeys and they can't tell the difference between right and wrong yet. They're only 2, 3, 4 years old. Once they're already 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, they understand a lot more things, and you keep giving them, feeding them everything that they want, you're killing the kid. You're killing the kid. It's not easy. It's not easy to be a parent, Rabotai. It's not easy to be a parent, but if you're already going to do the job, then do the job. You're building that person's character. And if you allow this kid to get influences from everybody else, you're simply destroying that kid. Now, the Gaon stresses here that the major bad influence obviously comes from the outside. That's why he doesn't want the kids to go outside. But he also says that it's not enough to know what the Musar works are saying, but rather to apply it to your life. This is one of the most critical parts of learning Musar and learning Torah in general, is that you can't just be one of these people that learns what it says, you're listening to the lectures, you're reading the books, but nothing changes. Here, the Gaon of Vilna is telling his wife, make sure that they need to uphold all that is written in the Musar books. Those same Musar books that I told you they have to learn from on a regular basis, make sure they uphold but what it says. Don't just read superficially for mental stimulation. You have to uphold, you have to listen to what the sages are saying. Because if you don't listen to what the sages are saying, you don't change your life, you're missing a major opportunity. A major opportunity. The Ramban writes that in the Iggeret Ramban, the one that we have a series on, he writes to his son that when a person, when he finishes reading this letter, go and look at your life and compare it to what you learned in the letter and see what you can fix. Meaning, don't just read this letter, have it in the back of your mind, say, oh, Baruch Hashem, I finished the letter my father wrote, I finished the letter that the Ramban wrote 800 plus years ago, good for me. No! You read the letter, it said some things, review what it said versus your life and do something about it. Because surely you can fix something, surely you can do something. Don't just read the letter and that's it, I read the letter. That's how the secular world and the purposeless life world operates. They read something and they simply, oh, I read another book. Oh, can you quote anything from that book? Oh, it's a good book. Why is it a good book? Yeah, it talks about good stuff. What do you apply to your life from that book that has good stuff? Oh, no, really, it's not really applicable to me, but it's a good book. That's not a good book. That's a waste of a few days or however long it took you to read that book. A good book is a book that you're living by, that you're not learning just superficially. You're applying things from that book. You're always going to remember that book because you took something from that book and you're still applying that to your life. And that's why the Ramban also writes, Nachmanides writes in Sefer Emunah V'Bitachon in chapter 19, that based on the pasuk in the Song of Songs, Shir HaShirim, chapter 2, verse 7, which says, Im ta'iru v'im toreru et ha'ava ad shetichpatz, that if you will awaken or arouse the love until it's materialized, the Ramban comments that you know that any time a person ponders the name of Hashem or any of Hashem's miracles, wonders, there is an awakening and awareness of Hashem within that person that is limited to mere thought. And then, on that, is what Hashem will be able to bring His blessings. Why? So the Ramban asks, if you're thinking about Hashem, but you don't act on it. You're thinking about all the miracles He made for you. You're thinking about how He gave you parnasah. You're thinking about how He gave you a zivug. You're thinking about how He did this to you, He did that to you. That's all good. But if you don't take action, why should Hashem give you that blessing again? Point being is that if you're already thinking about Hashem, you're already learning Torah, you're already involved in some form of connection to Hashem, do something about it. Take an action. You're getting ready for Shabbat. Oh, Baruch Hashem, it's Shabbat. It's great. I can't wait for Shabbat. It's the day. It's holy. It's great. Okay, so you're appreciating that Shabbat's coming in a half hour, in an hour. It's finally time to get together with your family to learn Torah with peace, without the phone ringing. Great. Do something about it. Well, isn't appreciating it enough? No. Do something about it. Perhaps give some tzedakah. Perhaps invite somebody that doesn't have a place to eat. Perhaps prepare a certain shiur or dvar Torah for the family. Do something about it. Make the preparation something. Don't just say, oh, it's good for me, I have good. Do something about it. Why? Rav Chaim Shmuelevitz says that our Chachamim teach us that the Kriyat Yam Suf, the splitting of the ocean, was such a prophetic event that even the maidservant, the lowest position among the people of Israel, saw prophecy that is greater than any of the other prophets that followed, even Ezekiel, that saw things that are impossible for us to understand. HaKadosh Baruch Hu showed him the 7 heavens. He showed him all types of extraordinary things. The things that Ezekiel saw are unbelievable. Impossible for us to understand. We could just learn about it. We could hear about it. We could imagine it. But to know fully, impossible for us. That great prophecy that Ezekiel saw, that he lived with, is not in the same level as the lowest maidservant that we had. Meaning her prophecy was higher than Ezekiel's. Just by going through Yam Suf being split into 12 and each one of the tribes having their own tunnel and Hashem opening the heavens and everybody pointing up to the sky. Zeh li ve'anveu, this is my God and I will honor him. I mean, even the babies that were inside their mommy's belly were saying this and pointing, and you can see the baby pointing. Something unbelievable. Like the things that happen at Yam Suf are unbelievable. And the lowest person saw this, experienced this. But yet, the Rav Chaim Shmuelevitz says, after all of it, she was still a maidservant. Why was she still called a maidservant if she was a prophet? Because she saw, she heard, but she didn't do anything about it. She didn't take an action to make that event something that is always going to have significance in her value. She didn't materialize this extraordinary event. When a person does not take advantage of the opportunity, this special moment of enlightenment, this special inspiration that you got from a shiur, you just watch Hashem Took Back His Millions, the movie, you just watched Tikkun Abrit, you just completed a book, a tractate of Gemara, a Sefer Musar, a parasha of the Chumash, a whole book in the Torah, whatever it is, you now have to take some type of action. Why? Because that moment that you completed that shiur, and you got that inspiration, that is a moment where the gates of heaven are open. Specifically, customized for your neshama. You have now an opportunity to jump in to a much bigger milestone that you wouldn't do otherwise. If you do it, you can grow tremendously and you could literally become like the Gedolei Ador. Over time, one time after another, you keep doing this, you can grow tremendously. This, by the way, is the same thing of how business works. It's not just one deal like everybody imagines in their head and that guy became a billionaire. No, it's a consecutive repetition of success, taking advantage of previous success, and then another success reinvested into the next success and the next success, and taking advantage of the failures and making them into successes. And little by little you see a long line of successes building into a huge success. That's how it works. Same concept in spirituality. You have a moment of enlightenment. You just completed a book. You just completed a shiur. You just watched a Torah movie from Be'ezrat Hashem. You just gave some, you did something good. You feel good? Do something about it. Meaning, materialize it. Take an action. Do it again. Do more. Do something. Don't just, oh, great for me, yay. Don't do that. Why? You have an opportunity. The maidservant had the opportunity of a lifetime, to say the least. They literally saw things that we cannot even imagine. But that's where it stayed, in their imagination. Rav Wasserman Alav Shalom in Sefer Or Elchanan, in page 64, says that the Chafetz Chaim, when he was 4 years old, he was walking outside with some of the kids, and they saw one of the peddlers over there, sells apples, his cart pushed over, and the apples went everywhere, and every one of the kids, took a couple of apples and ran away. Shortly after, the little Israel Meir that would become the Chafetz Chaim learned in the Torah portion that you're not allowed to steal. 4 years old. Immediately after he learned this from his rabbi, he ran to his parents and he started crying to them to give him a kopek, the currency of the day. Why do you need? I want, please give me, I want to buy apples. So his parents gave him. He went to the store, bought some apples, and went and gave it to the peddler. Gave it to the guy that was selling the apples. And the guy said, no, you don't need to. He just put them in his cart and he ran away. Rabbi Elchanan Wasserman says, from here we see how the Chafetz Chaim, he didn't just become the Chafetz Chaim because he wrote the book Chafetz Chaim. He already materialized his teachings, his Torah, into actions already as a little boy. And one success led to another, led to another, led to another. Meaning, never let a valuable enlightenment, a valuable inspiration go to waste. You're inspired, do something. I'm not telling people to become, very sporadic, and as soon as, you see somebody's winking at you, ask her to marry you. Don't be crazy. Real inspiration, spiritual inspiration. And I'm not telling people, listen, as soon as you like the shiur, take your whole bank account and your nest egg and donate it. Don't do that. Don't do us any favors. Be normal. Be, still all there. But take advantage of the inspiration. Take advantage of the inspiration to do something about it. Because when you do, you're materializing that inspiration. And you're giving that inspiration an actual life in this world. Now, when a person understands that this inspiration is something that they have to take into account, you also have to take into account that sometimes there's going to be things that kill your inspiration, kill your spirituality. And there are certain things that take place in a person's life that can kill their spirituality. The Gaon of Vilna was telling his wife, make sure that the kids do not go outside. Why? We don't want a Dinah to be our life. Fine. But what about if it's not our fault? What about if somebody is looking at her? HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't bring sins to people that are completely clean. He gives tests, but it's up to us to decide whether that test will become a sin or not. Now, people ask me all the time about the things we say in regards to the prohibition, according to the Torah, of going to a mixed beach where there's males and females there, whether they're Jewish or not is irrelevant, or going to a mixed wedding, a mixed dancing wedding, Shem Yishmor V'Yatzil, or going to a mixed gym, a gym where there's men and women exercising over there. And I always tell you that it's forbidden according to the Torah, not according to Yaron Reuven, according to the Torah. Where do we learn it from? There's a bunch of different places. The Gemara in Masechet Sanhedrin, page 75a, tells us of how a moment of negative inspiration could literally destroy a person to such an extent that it's better that they die than commit such a sin. The Gemara says, Amar Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda said in the name of Rav that there was an incident in which a man set his eyes upon a certain woman and his heart became obsessed with her. And she wasn't interested in him. So he came to the doctor, the scientists, and he said, Doc, listen, I'm dying. I can't eat. I can't sleep. All day I'm thinking about this girl. So the doctors came to the rabbis. He said, Rabbis, maybe you can make a shidduch. Rabbis tried. No, she's not interested. He said, yeah, but he's obsessed with her. Let him be obsessed, not a problem. So the doctor says, we prescribe, for the sake of loving, Jews are united, everybody's supposed to worry about each other. We, the doctors, prescribe, they were apparently reformed doctors, these doctors. We prescribe that she is intimate with him one time, and that's it. He'll be cured. The obsession will go away. The rabbis paskined, let him die, and she will not touch him. Doctor say, if he continues this way, he can't sleep, he can't eat, he's constantly thinking about this girl, let her be intimate with him one time, or he's going to die. He's a Jew after all. The rabbi said, let him die, and he will not touch her. So then the rabbis went on their way, but the doctors weren't finished. Why? Because the patient kept coming back, crying to them, I'm dying, I can't sleep. Look, I lost 15 pounds. I keep thinking of her. After I saw her, I know she's supposed to be my wife. I love her. Those people. The doctors come back to the rabbis, and says, maybe doesn't have to cohabit with her. He doesn't have to be intimate with her. But perhaps he can see her naked one time. See her naked one time. Almost like how Hashem Elechem, girls dress today every day without such a Gemara written about them. Different Gemara written about them. Perhaps a Masechet Gehinom. But they ask, maybe he can see her naked one time. That's it. The rabbis paskind, let him die, and he will never see her naked. Die. No sugarcoating. Let him die, and she'll never see her naked. Doctors think again, say, okay, fine. Maybe you can talk to her. But to make sure, I'll talk to her, there's going to be a wall between them. A wall between them, and he could talk. Maybe we'll put like a little cup on each side and a string. He could talk to her for a little bit. Rabbi's paskin, let him die, and she will not talk to him. So the Chachamim ask, why so strict? Okay, to be intimate with her, it's obvious. It's Gilui Arayot. It's immorality, one of the three cardinal sins. Let him die, and don't make such a sin. There's idolatry, there's murder, and there's immorality. It's better that a person dies than commit any one of those sins. They have to die instead of making one of those sins. So sure, to cohabit with a woman, of course. But what about seeing her naked? What about talking to her? That's not exactly Gilui Arayot, right? That's what people think. And then the rabbis say, wait a minute, what if he got married to her? Then they won't be allowed to be together. So the Gemara says, same Masechet Sanhedrin, page 75a, says no. If his mind is already obsessed, he's not thinking about her. He's thinking about a fantasy. And that fantasy will never be fulfilled. Even if he marries her and cohabits with her, he's still going to be spiritually sick. And that obsession will just transfer to something else, and she'll just end up being a victim. That's why guys that have disease, spiritual disease of wasting seed and pornography, even after they get married, they continue with that addiction and that disaster. It's never cured just by simply getting married. That's a false idea. People think that just because they get married, they won't waste seed anymore. It's completely wrong. Emet and help, Baruch Hashem, countless people that were married get rid of their addiction, even though they were already married. It didn't help them being married. So the Gemara says, even if he got married to her and he cohabited with her, it still won't fix it. Why? Maim gnuvim imtaku. Stolen water are sweeter. This obsession that he has is not based on he likes her. He wants a sin. He wants stolen water. That's what he wants. His desire, his obsession is with something forbidden. And it doesn't make any sense. Fine. So not cohabit with her. But why not talk to her? You say, fine. Don't cohabit with her. See her naked? No, that too, no. But why? He's going to die instead. Let him die. Talk to her? No, let him die. Don't talk to her either. Why? Why is this? Chachamim use this source as one of many to paskin that you're not allowed to go to a mixed beach or mixed gym or mixed dancing wedding or any place that is similar to it, because these types of places are called avizerao de gilui arayot. They are ancillary prohibitions because they are supporting the gilui arayot. They're supporting immorality. Now, what's the prohibition of things that are supporting immorality? Chachamim paskin that it is just as bad as the immorality itself. Meaning, it is better that he dies than go to a mixed beach or a mixed dancing wedding or a mixed gym. Better he dies. Where is this written? Where is this written? The Bet Yosef in Yoreh De'ah uses the source in Siman Kuf Nun Zayin 157 Siman Aleph. And the Rama in Darkei Moshe in Siman Kuf Gimel 103 brought this Gemara, and from there they learned that even seeing something that is forbidden is the avizerao d'arayot, that is in the ancillary of the prohibition. It's supporting the prohibition, and therefore it is forbidden to the same extent where the judgment on it is areg ve'al yavol. Better he die and not sin. What if I am not going to look? Still not allowed to step into such a place. And this is how the Rama paskins in Yoreh De'ah in Siman Aleph. And all of the, where he writes, this is his language. וכל איסור עבודת כוכבים וגילוי עריות ושפיכות דמים, אף על פי שאין בו מיתה, רק לאו בעלמא, צריך להיהרג ולא לעבור. והשach writes, this is referring to just seeing something, seeing the forbidden, where you're intentionally going to a place where you know there's going to be forbidden things to see. Not you're walking around the street and there's immodest people there. You're going to a place where you know for sure there's going to be immodesty. You know that in the beach, people don't walk around with clothes on. In the gym, people don't walk around with clothes on. Mixed wedding, mixed dancing, obviously this is not exactly a mitzvah wedding. The Sefer Hasidim, hundreds of years, 800 years ago, writes, people go to mixed weddings, come home with shadim to their house, come with demons back to their house, they don't leave. And everybody in that wedding gets cursed, including the bride and groom that are considered Machtiyah Rabim. So, here we see that the Poskim, the Chachamim, said that these sins of immorality, of immodesty, without the actual act itself, just going to a place where you know for sure is going to be immodesty and immorality, is just as bad as the immoral act itself, because one thing leads to another. That's how those things happen. It's so bad on the neshama, it's so bad on the person, that it is better that a person dies and does not sin, does not attend such a place. That's how bad it is. When the Gaon of Vilna told his wife, don't make sure they're not going outside, meaning make sure you're not going outside, roaming around in immodest places. Why? Because you start walking around in immodest places, you start walking around aimlessly, you start just wallowing around the town, becoming a socialite, the kids will follow you. And before you know it, everyone's going to go to a mixed beach, everyone's going to go to nightclubs, everyone's going to start doing all types of sins that are literally death penalties. And it's better that you stay home. If not, it's better that you die. Why? Because the amount of suffering that you will get for those sins, you'll want to die instead. This is coming from a place of knowledge, not a place of, oh, I'm going to scare you just because it's fun. It's simply an understanding of the magnitude of the sin. And when a person allows themselves to freely run around in this world without being conscious of the fact that the sins have ramification, the sin has an impact on your life, they could simply go from a place of good. They learned in yeshiva, they learned some books, they have a good upbringing, good family and so on. But now they left home, now they left their community, now they moved to a new place and they're a little bit more free with their time, a little bit more free with their selectivity of friends, a little more free with who they get influenced by and who they learn from. They just, they hang out. Maybe I'll learn from my colleagues at work. Maybe I'll learn from some bum in the street. Maybe I'll go attend some, non-Jewish wedding and non-Jewish company event. And all types of secular activities. Maybe I'll go to some political event, spend my Shabbos over there, be like one of those, Jewish politicians. That's really productive in the world, especially on Shabbat. Maybe I'm going to do all that. A person doesn't understand. Each one of these things chips at the person's neshama quietly, and little by little, their opinion changes. Their truth changes. Their perspective of the real truth changes. And little by little, each one of these things takes another token, another chip, another chip, another chip. And before you know it, that person has only the clothing, but nothing inside. Only the skin, but no bones and no limbs and no nothing. Simply just like, literally, they become empty. They become completely empty. And that's why many of those people eventually abandon the Torah altogether. Sometimes they'll abandon it by looking like everybody else, that's secular, that's anti-Torah, and sometimes even be worse and try to dafka, show that they are like everybody else, like they'll overexert themselves and become zealous for the sins. They'll intermarry. They'll make sure that the whole world knows that they're intermarried. They'll become part of the lefty anti-Torah. They'll literally take revenge against the Torah. Or sometimes they'll stay looking the part, Continue walking around with the same clothes, continue walking around with the kippah, maybe even the beard, continue even going to shul. But really inside, they believe the whole thing is a joke. They think God is a joke, the Torah is a joke, the sages are a joke, everything is a joke, and they're simply just there to maintain face. They're simply there just to keep their friends, but in reality, every time they have an opportunity to talk to anybody, they try to get them, they try to missionize to their new cause. They try to missionize to their new cause, destroying everybody else's life, because misery loves company. They can't stay miserable by themselves. They can't stay an atheist and a heretic by themselves. They have to influence the public as much as possible. And unfortunately, those people, on them it is written, your conquerors, your destroyers came from within you. Within our own communities, we have these empty people that apparently are not getting inspired by the truth enough to think even for a moment, maybe I'm going in the right direction. Maybe I'm going in the wrong direction. Maybe I'm going in a direction that has a dead end. They're not thinking about any of that stuff. Why? There's not enough inspiration. Perhaps we need to pray for them because they're not in a place to be inspired. Or perhaps they are in a place to be inspired, but when they're not hearing enough truth, and we need to do a little bit of a harder effort to bring that truth to them. For sure, don't start acting like them. For sure, don't go down to their level and say, hey, what's up, bro? What's going on? Yeah, I'm Rabbi Reuven. Yeah, don't start acting like these people and thinking that's how you're going to bring them in. You're never going to recruit people by acting like a moron. Never. You have to stay the part. This is who you are. You don't change for nobody. Why? Because you're doing it based on a masoret, based on a long history of success. You learn from the best of the best. If you want to succeed in life, you have to learn and surround yourself by the best of the best. You want to be successful in business, surround yourself with successful business people. Don't surround yourself with people that want to be successful. That's not going to help anybody. You surround yourself with successful people. You want to succeed as a doctor? Go learn from an expert. Go learn from the best. You want to be a successful lawyer? Go learn from the best. You want to be a successful scholar, a good Jew? Go learn from the best. Learn from the best rabbis, the most inspirational, the best sages, the most well-known, the ones that have the most celebrated Torah. Go learn theirs and stick to their words like your life depends on it, because it does. That's how we do it, Rabotai. That's how success is earned. You don't learn how to do good from people that don't know how to. You don't learn how to go in the right direction from people that are lost. You have to learn from the best people. And when a person takes their life seriously, they understand that even things that to us seems harsh that I'm not allowed to go to a mixed gym. Seems harsh that I can't go to my cousin or my friends or my brothers or my sister's mixed dancing wedding. It seems harsh. Seems harsh that I can't even go to my brother's wedding or my sister's wedding or my son's wedding that is wants to do things that are forbidden by the Torah. It seems harsh that I can't go to the movie theater or to a mixed beach. It seems harsh. But when a person understands what the Chachamim had to do in order to arrive at this truth, they know this is not a suggestion. This is literally like a SOS, emergency message. You want to survive both in this world and have a place in the next world, you must obey this because your life depends on it. When a person thinks that way, they'll succeed. When a person thinks they have a better way, they're literally setting themselves up for failure. And we'll finish off with this. The Masechtot Ktanot in Masechet Smachot, the Rabbi Chia, in Perek Bet Halacha Gimel. It says a teaching. Shloshla bnei Adam hem. There's three types of people. Echad asuk bekesef ubezav. One is busy with money and gold, like somebody in the stock market. Somebody is dealing with businesses of such. Another person is in a real estate developer. Another person he's toiling in Torah and doing chesed and learning about Genom, learning about punishment, learning about how dangerous it is to make sins. They all live their lives. זה שעסוק בכסף ובזהב, בשעה פטירתו מן העולם הוא אומר, תנו לי מכספי ומזהבי שילכו עמי לבית עולמי. When it comes time to his death and leave, departure from the world, the one that was toiling with money, with the stock market, with Bitcoin, with gold, says to the Bet Din of heaven, give me some of my gold, give me some of my money so I could take them to my section. ואין אומרים לו, אין לך בהם כלום, שכבר קדמך כתוב, לי הכסף ולי הזהב, נאום השם צבאות. Already it was written, you have nothing, none of the money you can take with you. None of the money is yours. Why? It was already written in the Torah, mine is the money, mine is the gold, says Hashem, the master of legions. Can't take any of that stuff with you. וזה שעסוק בנכסים ובקרקעות. בשעה פטירתו הוא אומר, תנו לי מנכסיי ומקרקעותיי, שילכו עמי לבית עולמי. The one that was busy with real estate, had a bunch of apartment buildings, had a bunch of houses, had a bunch of shopping centers. When the time comes and his neshama leaves this world, he says to the Bet Din of heaven, please give me some of my property, some of my land, so I can take it to my section. And the Bet Din of heaven says to him, you have nothing to bring with you because it was already written in the Torah. ואמר להשם הארץ ומלואה תבל ויושבי בה. Hashem already said, all of the land, everything in it is mine. Everything is mine, including those that are living in it. זה שעסוק בתורה ובגמילות חסדים וביראת שמיים, אינו מספיק לגמור את הדבר, עד שהמלאכים אומרים לו, הרי הן הולכים לפניך, שנאמר והלך לפניך צדקך כבוד אדוני יספקה. And that one that was toiling in Torah and Chesed, learning about Genom, learning about how scary it is to go to mixed dancing parties, learning about how you should stay away from sin and sinners, even before he's able to say something, once his neshama leaves his body, before he's even able to address the fact that his neshama left the body, the angels come to him and say, oh, come, Kvodo, come. Come, don't you know it's written about you in the book of Isaiah? Your righteous deeds will precede you, and the glory of Hashem will gather you in. This, Rabotai, is how it's going to look for all of us. You and I have to choose which one of them we want. Which one of the person wants to toil all of their energy to be in competition with the Joneses, focus on materialism, focus on acquiring more materialism, teaching their kids about materialism, aspiring to be one of the celebrities, becoming a celebrity and destroying their life. The end will come for all of us. And their end will show them what kind of life they lived, what the results of that, some of those results they'll see in this world, but most of those results they'll see in the next world. And they'll suffer in both places. On the other hand, if a person makes materialism and physicality secondary, everything that they do, even business, even house, even car, even wife, husband, everything that they do has to be for the sake of heaven. You're allowed to enjoy, you're allowed to succeed, you're allowed to be ambitious, but everything is connected to Hashem. Everything has a spiritual value. Everything is something that you're doing for the sake of a mitzvah or as part of a mitzvah. When a person thinks of success that way, that success will be blessed. But when a person thinks that success is separate from the blessing, they're already failing. In order to get the blessing, you have to live like those that had blessings. That means that you have to follow what the sages said. Keep yourself reserved. Keep your family reserved. Don't go out there wallowing around wasting your time. Don't have your kids do it either. Make sure that you're focused. Just like all of the successful people that preceded you, both in the Torah world and otherwise. You want to succeed, you have to be focused. When you're focused on that, you have increased your likelihood of success drastically. But when you're constantly trying to meet the approval of society, you're already a failure, you just don't realize it. This is why some of the sages, you'll see that they don't tell jokes. They don't waste any time joking around. In fact, the most important sage for the oral Torah that we have today is Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Kadosh. Now, of course, all of the teachings comes from Rabbi Akiva. But Rabbi Kadosh is the one that put pen to paper, and that's the reason why we have the oral Torah in written format. And Rabbi Kadosh was a very serious person. He was very successful. He was helping a lot of people. At the end of his life, he looked up at Shamayim and he said to Hashem, Hashem, you know that I didn't enjoy this world, all the material that he gave me, the billions of dollars that he gave him, so much so that the guy that was managing his horses was already made more money and had more money than the king of Persia, because the guy that would take care of the horses, one of the benefits of taking care of the horses is you were able to keep all of the manure and sell it, and he made a fortune because he had Rabbi Kadosh had so many horses, hundreds and hundreds of horses. And Rabbi Kadosh, with all the money that he had, he looks up to Shamayim, he says, Hashem, you know that I didn't enjoy this material world even as much as a pinky. As much as a pinky. And the Gemara says that one of the Chachamim wanted to make Rabbi Kadosh laugh. And Rabbi Kadosh said to him, please don't make me laugh. Why? When I laugh, a disaster comes. Why? Somebody needs to be serious. And my position is to be serious. To be serious about the magnitude of trouble that people are in. To be serious about the situation at hand. To be serious about people's agony, people's pain, people's confusion, and so on. Now, of course, some people are more serious than others. Some people are less serious than others. And that's a personality. Fine. But everybody has to be serious when it comes to their kids and the chinuch of their kids, and when it comes to their purpose in life, their own purpose in life. This is not one of those places where you could take it, with a great, just like, let me try this out whenever I get a chance. This is one of those things that you have to take this stuff seriously, because if you do, you can take this inspiration and materialize it and make it something that could change the direction of your life forever. This is the whole point of every shiur. Sometimes we succeed with a lot of people, sometimes with less people. That's all in Shamayim. Our goal should be the same as your goal. Every time we sit down and learn, every time we sit down and teach or stand and teach, the goal should be the same. To get enough inspiration, enough knowledge to be able to do something about it. This, Rabotai, is the biggest goal of Torah. To take it, act on it. You have something that I said and I talked about, and you are in essence falling in there, fix it. Use the shiur as the inspiration, or the inspiration to be inspired. The point being is, do something about it. Inspires others as well. When we do that, we're not only going to take the teachings to heart and succeed because of them, but we'll also be fulfilling what our Chachamim said is required for us to be successful, which is to have emunat Chachamim, faith in our sages. Because they said it, We did it, and because we did it that way, we showed we have faith in them. And we show, by having faith in them, we show we have faith in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not going to have an entire generation orphaned of emet. The emet is available. The emet, the truth, is available. It's there. You just have to acquire it. You just have to work for it. It's not something that's going to be easy. But if we do it, we take advantage of it, we're all going to succeed in eventually sanctifying HaKadosh Baruch Hu's name and leading another generation of tzaddikim and tzaddikot, Be'ezrat Hashem. And on that day, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu sends his Mashiach, Bayom ha'u yeh Adonai echad u'shmo echad. On that day, HaKadosh Baruch Hu's name will be one, and his name will be one.